Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining me for another Face Off. I am your host, Reverend D. Marie, and I am so excited to share this space with you. As you know, Face to Face Ministry brings you this monthly collaboration in partnership with Restoration Community Christian Church and the York Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our Face Off is an up close and personal example with a real person and their real experience, hopefully bringing you education and an opportunity to build resiliency and hear a story of hope. It's a source of empowerment for all who may be dealing with mental illness, hardship, trauma, or tragedy. As you know, it is time for us to take our mask off, and this is May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And each year in the month of May, organizations like myself and NAMI and Mental Health America, we do use this as an opportunity to build awareness, to create a platform for space and education about mental health. And so tonight we're going to be joined by Dr. Deborah Bernal. She's a board certified physician who will guide us into our journey, but in a very unique way, because tonight we're going to talk about exploring holistic approaches to mental healing and physical pain. And so let us invite her into the space. Good evening, Dr. Bernal. Hello.
Good evening, Soror.
Yes, soror. That is my soror. I love it when that happens. Yes, yes. So I'm so excited for you to be here. If you could start by just introducing yourself to all of our guests.
Yes, my name is Dr. Deborah Bernal. I came to York, Pennsylvania almost 16 years ago now, recruited by WellSpan Health to work as a spine care physician in physical medicine and rehabilitation. So that's the specialty that is focused on function. So if you have any condition that causes you to be limited, it is a physiatrist that can gather a team around you and help you back to your peak performance.
All right. I love the way you said that. So it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and there are probably lots of people that could have been in this space, but I feel like you have such a unique collaboration of just techniques and tools in your toolbox. And so I thought it would be great for you to kind of help us. But before we jump into that, I want to kind of start and rewind and tell us a little bit about your journey to the current profession that you're in.
Well, when I was in my third year of medical school, finishing up, trying to figure out what I was going to do as a career, I was very disillusioned with the medical profession. And I went home and said, I think I'm going to quit. I can't stand this revolving door of people going out, coming back, going out. And where was the healing? I wanted to be a healer. And then I met a wonderful physiatrist. That's a specialist in physical medicine and rehabilitation. And she was everything I wanted to be. And that's how I got introduced to the profession. But what was key is it requires the patient to be the lead quarterback in their own care plan. They have to get out there in the field and get the work done. So even though we gather a team around our patients are the leaders of their healthcare and wellness in their journey.
Okay. I'm learning so much. So in your particular, as a physiatrist, is this something that everyone knows about? Like, is it as wide known as other aspects of medicine?
There are not enough of us to go around. They're recruiting at WellSpan right now and can't fill positions that are available. So we are few and far between, but I am working with the Student National Medical Association and the American Academy of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation to make sure our people are represented in physiatry. So I have mentors in medical school, in residency, and am trying to guide them in their journey. So I really think that it is our role that we always have to reach back and help somebody pave the way for them to go up their mountaintop. It might not be the same journey,
Right.
but you can get started on the path and then they can create their own, because everyone's path is unique and different.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. And I think it's good that we're starting in this spot because so you've given us like an introduction to it. How is what you do different from the medical experience that most people have when they say, "Hey, I'm going to see my PCP"?
Most people go to their physician with an problem that they want fixed by their provider, by them having something, maybe a medication or a surgery or a treatment that quote unquote fixes them.
Mhm.
It's different with physical medicine because you have to invest in being fixed. So we work with um, physical therapists, massage therapists, acupuncturists, behavioral health specialists, vocational rehab counselors. We put the team together for whatever your issues are and whatever your goals are.
Mhm.
So if something has kept you out of work, we are looking for the assistance you need to get you back recovered and back into your profession.
Okay. And your profession is considered a specialty, so is it referral only?
It is considered a specialty, but it's um, a person can refer themselves to me if their insurance company allows that.
Okay.
So it's not, the restriction isn't me, the restriction is whatever their insurance requires. And some insurance companies require that uh, primary care refer to a specialist, and other insurances don't.
Okay. Thank you. And I think it's good for us to lay that groundwork because I believe as we continue to talk, you're going to say some good stuff, right? And people are going to be like, how do I get that? Because in the work that I do, there are lots of people who are very apprehensive about some of the traditional things that may be recommended, primarily medication, right? And so you have already talked about things that span beyond just here's the pill for this particular treatment, and that does work. Like we're not saying that that is not something that's also needed, but this is something slightly different than what people may hear about, that a lot of people around the water coolers of life may say, yeah, I don't want to do that, but they want to do some version of what you're offering. So I think it's going to be helpful for people to know how to connect as we keep talking. So okay, so I you started this journey, you ran into this amazing person, and this was the spot for you. You didn't start here because you said WellSpan recruited
No,
you.
I was at Howard University when this all happened. I went both undergrad and medical school to Howard, and then I ended up at Sinai and Hopkins in Baltimore to do my residency. I went back to teach and work at Howard for 5 years, and then I went into private practice, solo practice, and that worked for a while, and then insurance changed and HMOs and PPOs, and I was like, I'm over this. I just want to see patients. So that's when I started looking for a job, and that's when they recruited me here at WellSpan Health.
Wonderful. Okay, so Dr. Bernal, a lot of what you do, in addition to what you do at WellSpan, you are very unique in the standpoint that you use a lot of what people would say is non-traditional, and I would say like non-Western techniques as well. How did that journey begin?
So when you work with patients and you're concerned with healing, you're concerned with how many tools can I get in my tool belt that can help a person.
Hmm.
So the first thing you think about is 3 meals a day. Food is
Hmm.
medicine. So learning about nutrition and how that helps or hinders your healing process. Herbs, I mean, that's actually God's uh,
Hmm.
medicine cabinet.
Hmm. Hmm.
Herbs were given to us to help us through the different things going on in our lives. And so I started studying herbs, and that moved me to studying herbs in Africa. So I go to Africa each year. I'm in the third year of a 4-year herbology program. I'll be going to Nigeria in a couple months just to be with the plants and be with the healers and study the herbs.
Hmm.
So I work with acupuncturists, massage therapists. There is healing in touch.
Yes.
We are connected. Even energy work like Reiki. I'm a Reiki practitioner and a color puncture practitioner, which means instead of needles, I use different colored lights to treat acupressure points to change the vibrational energy to promote healing in your body. So there's so many tools available to help people heal, but it all comes from a mind-body connection.
You're going exactly where we need to go. So you this mind body connection, because I know someone's watching maybe like this is a lot of physical language. So I personally believe that your physical health significantly impacts your mental health. Like in the work that I see, there are lots of people who are on one side where they're having physical symptoms, and it's because it's a breakdown in something with them mentally, and vice versa. So, from your own professional perspective, how are these two world industries practices? How are they married together for you?
There's two big ways. Neurologically, we're connected. Our brain is actually connected through the vagus nerve to our heart and to our gut. So you're getting information from your gut to your brain and your heart. So when people have these gut intuitions about things, they should think about that. They should
Mhm.
investigate that. When their heart feels heavy or burdened, they need to think about that because it's affecting their whole nervous system and
Mhm.
how you react. And then your nervous system is connected to your hormone system.
Mhm.
So if you're in a thought pattern or a energy vibration of fear or lack, it's going to send signals that heighten your physical readiness to
Mhm.
flee or fight.
Mhm.
So if you see a cat and there's a mouse, the cat,
Mhm.
just like that,
Yep.
they don't have to think about it.
Instinct.
It's instinct, it's
Mhm.
hormonally mediated. The fangs come out, the claws, their neck and shoulders crouch. Well, we get under stress and our neck
Yes.
and shoulders crouch.
Mhm.
And we don't know how to release that energy. And some people aren't even aware that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
They are so used to being in a state of stress that they don't realize there's something they should do or need to do or can do about changing the energy vibration that they're in.
So let's park right there for a second, because I definitely agree with that. And so that goes into this normalization that happens about stress, because we can encounter stress, but I think for a lot of people, especially in the work that I do, a lot of people have normalized stress. They don't even recognize that what you're in is a stressful situation that does not have to exist. And so we can say the big things, but just looking at life and resources and people not having what they need, these are all stress induced situations, right? So when you say they don't even know what to do to get out of it, help us to start to think about what are some of those immediate practical things, not the big things yet, but the immediate practical things for releasing that tension, not rapidly, but something that you can do without having to go somewhere or do something.
Well, the first thing you have to do is pause and take a check in. So many people are outside their body, they don't even have awareness or connection with what's going on inside their body. So,
Yes.
just to pause when things are getting out of alignment, to just see what you feel in your body. Is there tension in muscles?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Are you sweating in your palms? Are your toes curling in your shoes? I mean, it could be a variety of things of how different people respond to different um, stressors in their life. And
Mm-hmm.
if you take that time to reflect over and over again, you'll start to find your patterns and be able to connect to them quickly. The second thing is really easy: breathe. Deep breathing is a superpower. I'm going to say that again. It's a
Say that.
superpower. Put a cape on,
Mm-hmm.
because deep breathing can regulate your blood pressure, your
Mm-hmm.
heart rate, your respiration rate. It can change um, your skin. It has so many effects. And if you take time to take that deep breath and feel the de escalation and feel things letting go and going back into a normal, neutral state,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the opportunity to respond instead of react.
Yes.
Because most people react from this position instead of respond from a centered, grounded, holistic, um, settled, aligned position where they know who they are. They have been able to assess the situation and know how to respond to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the way they would want to respond, but the way to get the effect that they desire. And that's a different thing.
Absolutely. So there's my boss has a joke, because in our work we get to pull from all types of treatment models to do what we do. And so she always says D hates mindfulness. So she always says D hates mindfulness. And so I had to tell her I do deep breathing often. We, as a family-based therapist, we sign up to go into chaos and confusion. And so I regulate my breathing regularly. And so I had to actually step back to figure out what part of mindfulness do I not like, because mindfulness that I don't like. It's not the deep breathing. And I'm saying that to you because I would like for you to explain, mindfulness. Breathing is a part of mindfulness, but it's not the only part of it. And so if you could unpack that a little bit for people so that they can understand that tool. Because we hear it so much. We hear it like the word is thrown out for people. Just do mindfulness. Just, well, what does that look like?
So it definitely starts with being mindful of your body,
Mm-hmm.
um, your physical body, your heart rate, your breathing, and that breathing can regulate um, those hormonal responses. So that's an aspect of mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to think of it as a bullseye. So in the middle of the bullseye is you
Mm-hmm.
physically, then mentally, then emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and then spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting grounded in who you are. And then you have to react to a bigger circle, which is the circumstance that you are in.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can you um, take a wider angle view of what's going on right now? Instead of taking things personally, how can you view it like from afar and see the interaction and what's going on in a way that isn't personal and isn't emotional to you?
Mm-hmm.
It's more um, not just logical and reasonable, but intuitive.
Mm. Okay. That makes total sense. So, um, one of the things that I know that you do that people may not know that you do is there's this yoga connection to you. And I'm saying it like that because yoga is very popular right now for a lot of different reasons. And again, it's not something that I've ever explored, but it is something that I advocate for just because, as you already started to talk about, that vagus nerve and all of those things. So, how did yoga become such a big part of your brand and what you use in your holistic approach?
Actually, this also started in medical school that same third year. I'm frantic. I have spent years trying to be a doctor, and then, wait a minute, it's not what I thought it was going to be. And I did a research project in physical medicine and rehabilitation, which was biofeedback relaxation training for back pain.
Oh.
And I work in back pain now. So it was like a forerunner.
Mm-hmm.
And that research came back so astonishing to me how you could use this tool, biofeedback tool. You could use temperature, you could use heart rate, you could use a lot of different variables and change that parameter consciously with that feedback, just having that feedback. And it changed people's pain scores.
Mm-hmm.
And that breath work, I said, well, I have to learn more about this. So I started doing pranayama yoga. That's yoga that doesn't do all the postures and standing on your head and all that. It just works with the breath.
Oh, okay.
Pranayama yoga. So if you ever want to take a breath work yoga class, it's called pranayama. That's where I started. And I actually had just gotten married, got pregnant with my first child, my son. He will be 41 next month.
Oh, wow.
So this was a little while ago,
Oh, wow, just a little bit.
a little bit back then. And I started doing pranayama. I said, I can't give stress to this new life inside
Mhm.
me. I have gotten to get myself under control.
Mhm.
And it was the perfect thing for that. And then as I got later in my pregnancy, I started yoga for pregnancy and childbirth. And I never went to Lamaze classes. I just breathed and gave birth to my
Okay. She's not just breathed and gave birth. Okay.
through this yogic philosophy. Because when you think of, and you see on TV this Lamaze method, they're like breathing heavy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm like, no, you need to just chill out and be calm. And then when it's time, your body says push, give it all you got. And then afterwards, you need to relax, breathe deep, calm, and then give your energy at that time. All that hyperventilating didn't make sense to me. So it has worked for me, and I fell in love with yoga then, and I've been practicing yoga for over 41 years.
41 years of yoga. Look at that. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't very popular
Right.
when when I started practicing. You had to go to the corners of, the
Mhm.
new age
Yep.
places in order to find it. But
And so the reason why I bring this up, because in my own work, one of the things that we say to people, at least, and so I go on rants sometimes when we're here. So this is where you're gonna get all of me, Dr. Bernal. So from a mental health perspective, there are lots of diagnoses, there's lots of medication, and yes, there's statistics for why all of these things have been helpful, but there's also like some alternate statistics that prove that practices such as yoga have been more helpful for helping people to maintain emotional regulations for longer periods of time. And so that's why I am raising this up, because it's not as popular, even though there are statistics there to support that claim. It is just not as popular as medication. So I think, from as someone who is so very passionate about mental health and mental wellness, you are using one of the tools that we often get to use from a family-based perspective, but not many people go in to see their psychiatrist and they write them a prescription for go do yoga, right?
right.
So, even though it's very helpful, so I think it's important for you to hear you say this, and because it's something that you've used in like across aspects of your life. You're talking about when you're in medical school, when you're a mom, like, and you're still using it 41 years later. That speaks to something. So that speaks to something, that this is a technique that's been around for such a long time, even though it's just becoming popularized right now. So I thought I didn't know it was 41 years. I didn't know it was 30 years. I knew it was something that you did, but I had no clue that it was that length of time. Okay. So I want to switch gears just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little pivot. So, is there something about the work that you do and your holistic approach that people would just never imagine? Like, I do this too.
Um, I am also board certified in lifestyle medicine, which is a form of holistic care, nutrition, weight management, stress management, sleep management, working with avoiding risky and toxic substances. So, helping people get away from that,
Mhm.
but also positive social connections, because we are social beings. We
Yes.
need to be connected, and we need to be connected in a positive way that uplifts us. The first thing I did when I moved to York was find my sorors. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm home. That's all I had to do. But that's
Mhm.
because that's an important connection for
Mhm.
me and where I can serve my community. That's
Mhm.
where I started working with the Black Golfers Association, NAACP,
Mhm.
all the local um, activities here that I could contribute. I found through the sorority. And so that was my positive social connection. And then I found my yoga people. You go to this yoga studio, that yoga studio, you're looking for the vibe that works
Mhm.
for you. And then I was like, oh, here are my people. This is where I'm going to practice. So um, it's so important that you establish those social connections
Mhm.
and use them to uplift you.
Mhm.
And those connections have gotten me into doing other things. So, my also a soror that I went to school with, we were at our 40th reunion from medical school last year. She said, "Oh, you need to do a retreat for us. We want to do this." So I organized a retreat. I taught people how to eat healthy.
Mhm.
We did yoga. We did Tai Chi. I also teach 8 directional Tai Chi. We did some color puncture for dream work to get people relaxed to help with their sleep management.
Mhm.
Because, if you don't have a good night's sleep, the next day is a challenge.
That's right. That's right.
So, sleep management is also a part of our lifestyle. And then people are always asking me questions about different exercises for different places on their body. So,
Mhm.
then I started doing Instagram little 1-2 minute videos to show people, okay, this is what you do for your shoulder, this is what you do for your jaw, this is what you do for your neck. So it has just led me to different avenues where
Mhm.
I could share the wealth of knowledge that I've been able to amass over practicing medicine for over 40 years with friends, family, community, and I love to teach.
Mhm. You are really good at it. That definitely comes across because I'm learning a lot. And most of the time when guests come on a face off, it's like, oh, I know them. I'm always learning something. I just learned so much about you in that little snippet. You said something that speaks to the core of who I am. I am a relational person. And so when I'm engaging people who have severe emotional disturbances, I often say my superpower is I'm focusing on relationship. See, a lot of people in my work are focusing on, behaviors and trying to make you stop a thing. And I tend to lean to you are missing some type of connection that you desire. That's me as a person. I feel like at the root of the breakdown, there is something that you're yearning for from another human that you're not getting. And so I love the fact that you brought up relationship, right? Again, you are doing a lot that I've never encountered from any of my doctors, right? Like you are discussing things that I know, and particularly in the Black and Brown community, that people need to hear about because it does seem alternative, but it's not alternative because you are sitting before us as an employee of WellSpan, which is, very much mainstream. And so, but a lot of what you're talking about that you do and that you advocate for, it still comes across as an alternative approach. But it doesn't sound like it's alternative. It sounds like it's a very established spectrum of medicine that is just not widely communicated. So,
So I feel like it's not embraced. And I
okay.
think it has to do with the healthcare system as a whole, because the way that we're reimbursed for um, things that happen to patients instead of results that we get
Mhm.
with patients, then everybody's concerned with getting a person in, giving them their medication, giving them their treatment, giving them this, doing their surgery, and moving them through this,
Mhm.
which to me is just the tip of the iceberg
Yes.
of what we need to focus on. we need to be focusing on lifestyle. And in every office, they'll give a little snippet. Oh, you have high blood pressure? Well, you should be on this diet.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay. And then the ball is sort of dropped from there,
Mm-hmm.
because then you get the pill, and then the diet is hard and the pill is easy.
Mm-hmm.
If you have pain and they give you a pill, then to do yoga 3 days a week is hard, and the
Yeah.
pill is easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to, as a society, take more personal responsibility for our health and wellness and invest. You have a car, you take it in for maintenance, you put
Mm-hmm.
gas in it. You're not putting any old gas, you're putting the gas in that is for your car, right?
Right.
Diesel, or if it's electric, you don't just do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to maintain it. You have a home. You're paying all the bills, you're maintaining the structure, the yard, you're changing the filters in the house. Your body needs maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when it gets injured, it needs rehabilitation so you can get back to maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people aren't doing any maintenance on their personal well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And when you don't do that, that lets injury and disease in. It
Mm-hmm.
like creates a vacuum for
Yeah.
it to enter your sphere, because you're not protected by this bubble of light, love, healing energy, surrounding yourself with the positivity that you need, that brings out the healing that's already inherent to us as human beings.
Okay. So you keep shifting the needle to where we need to go. So we've talked about, um, everything, mind, body. Uh, we have not talked about spirit specifically yet. So one of the books that I love, that I'm still actively teaching somebody on right now, a class on now, is The Body Keeps the Score. It's become one of my favorites, especially talking about doing the trauma work that I do. I do believe that we hold a lot in our experiences are locked up in our bodies, right? Like our experiences are locked up in our bodies. When I say that, you understand what I mean, but everybody may not understand what I mean when I make that statement. So when it comes to your work, our experiences are locked up in our body. It gets trapped. Of course, it gets trapped different places. But what does that mean for the type of work that you do?
Okay, so I'm going to do this specifically for my spine care patients.
Okay.
So I work with people with neck pain, mid back pain, low back pain, and you could get radicular pain into your arms, legs, but mainly pain down your spine. And your spine, think of how that aligns you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It lines you up in life. So when people have problems with their spine, it could be on any or all of those levels.
Mm-hmm.
So you start determining, what physically is going on with the muscles, the nerves, the discs, all these things. But then what mentally and emotionally is going on that is causing the tension that's pulling on those physical structures? So, who is the pain in your neck? Who has stabbed you in the back?
Mm-hmm.
Who's riding your back piggyback and needs to get off? Who is the pain in your butt?
Mm-hmm.
These are actual relationships
Mm-hmm.
that you're in that are going to affect your body in those metaphorical spots,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where that pressure and energy goes.
Yes.
So that's the best
That's
example
a
that
great example. That is a great example. You don't need to say nothing else. You laid that out very clear, and I know that people got it because you already got people saying "wow" in the chat. So, and I'm saying that because, particularly as Black people, we keep a hold of so much stuff in our bodies. And yes, we will be at the doctors and we will be trying to get a medical intervention for something that may be very relational and mental and spiritual, and that is the point that I'm making. Sometimes we take one approach where we might need to expand our process because it's deeper rooted. It like you said, the pill may make the pain stop, but it doesn't mean that the pain's not going to come back once the pill wears off, right? Because we haven't gotten to the root, and sometimes the root of the problem may be relational. It may have nothing to do with the physical ache, and it may be a different breakdown that is storing up in your body. So I love that you're saying that. When I say y'all, I'm like a kid in a candy store because I had no clue that this is all of what Dr. Bernal does. And so I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of our hour. We're not there yet. We still have some time. So I want to talk a little bit more about the spirituality component, particularly for you. Like where is your source of strength? Like what does spirituality look like for you specifically?
I have a very African centered philosophy in life, and I believe in the fact that we are here to grow as people and serve each other. And we're not just here to get older, we're here to get to be elders,
Mm-hmm.
to have wisdom to share, and that we're going to leave here and become ancestors, hopefully, if we have reached that level of wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't believe we disappear when we die. We just go back to the spiritual realm. And I feel spiritual energy with me. I have ancestors that come to me in my dreams and give me a lot of good information that I can use. I have elders that I reach out to and talk to for their advice and counsel. I think it's my responsibility to give advice and counsel from my perspective to other people. And that's why I do the mentorship that I do. And this goes beyond just mentorship of physicians. I worked with I still do work with adolescent girls and boys in going through an African rites of passage process in teenage years. Because let me tell you, teenage years are hard.
Yes, they are.
And, and if anybody needs a village, it's a
Yes.
teenager.
Yes.
Because teenagers have a tendency when their parents are talking, they hear womp, womp,
Womp womp.
womp, womp, womp. And they could hear the same thing from
Mm-hmm.
the neighbor down the street or
Yes.
somebody else, and then it hits them like a light bulb goes off.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's our responsibility to surround those children with a group of elders that can guide them in different areas of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been doing that actively in DC and still do for, man, 30 some years.
Oh wow.
And of course, when I came here to WellSpan, I started working with the sorority and doing Delta Gems.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of disintegrated during the pandemic. But up until that time, it was a very active program. And we work with the Delta Academy, which is younger
Hmm.
girls and teenage now. But all of that is very important to me because there is an intergenerational transmission of knowledge that needs to go on especially within our communities,
Hmm.
because the suffering that our ancestors had to do just so that we could be alive on the planet and breathing
Right. Hmm. Right. Yep.
is something that we should be giving honor to every day of our lives and
Hmm.
helping others.
Hmm.
And we know nothing is over. I mean, we see the news.
Yep.
We can be traumatized just by the news because we see that person. That could be my son, that could be my daughter.
Yes.
So we have to be vigilant and consciously be processing what is going on within us and within our community and raise ourselves up.
Hmm.
And one of the ways I do that is what I call my bubbles of love, light, healing, and protection. If I think of you
Hmm.
anytime during the day, I'm busy. I can't grab my phone. I can't
Right.
type through an email. But my bubble of light, love, healing, and protection can get to you within an instant
Hmm.
because spirit works faster than email.
That's right. That's right. Put that on a t-shirt. I like that.
Yeah,
Spirit works faster than email. That's right.
yes.
Hmm.
So, I think of my kids. Neither of them are local. Send them out love. Send them out
Hmm.
love. I think that my thought of them means they need something from me,
Yeah.
and I can give that instantly
Hmm.
and move right along because that's all we all need is that love, light, healing, and protection.
Yes.
Because there are forces that are coming against us, but we're stronger when we join those forces spiritually.
Hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. It was very helpful. Yes. Okay. So I think I've checked all of my questions. Listen, you went into where I needed to go. So that is the professional you, which I do believe is a large part of like who you are at your core. Like it's rare that you find a person where they are living out who they are, where it's like, oh, let me take this hat off or put this hat on because now I'm becoming, Dr. Bernal, and this is what I do in this profession. But I know you, and you are in the same space all the time, right? Like I don't think that I've ever seen you not functioning like you're coming across right now, which is why we love you so much. But for a moment, as a black woman, you've got your own set of needs. Like you are a professional woman, your mother, your wife, you're wearing all of the hats like many people juggle. What's your routine? Like what do you do for your own personal self-care or regiment that keeps you grounded? Like what's a part of your daily?
So, actually, what I tell my patients, and it's very true, I don't ask them to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself.
Mhm.
So, the first part of my self care every day is how I eat.
Mhm.
So, like, I pack my lunch for the next day the night before. So, I have those good things with
Mhm.
me, and I don't have to, go to the lunchroom and see things that I don't want to eat
Mhm.
and be so hungry that I'm tempted
Mhm.
to eat them. So I prepare my food. I exercise. The first thing I did this morning was today was a strength training day. I strength train 2 days a week. I do yoga 3 or 4 days a week. I try to walk or do rowing machine or do African dance videos or something, uh, 4 days a week. So I keep physically busy,
Mm-hmm.
which helps to balance my energy. I have a very loving relationship with my husband, but also a bond that I can talk through things with him. We process the news together. We process, the things coming at you in life
Mm-hmm.
together. And that's very helpful. And I also have a cadre of sorors and sister circle friends that I can go to talk about other issues, especially personal women issues that, frankly, men can't
Uh-huh.
understand.
I do.
So I got my sister circles that
Mm-hmm.
I can share and emote if I need to, vent if I need to, and be supported. So I'm looking for that
Mm-hmm.
in my relationships. But I also have, for decades, had, uh, uh, I used to have a psychiatrist in DC for years, Frances Cress Welsing. She wrote the book. Um, what was the name of her book again? Look it up. Frances
Mm-hmm.
Cress Welsing. Um, the Cress Theory of Color Confrontation.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
she was phenomenal. And in the challenges that I've had in my life, my first marriage, my husband became an alcoholic. He uh, was abusive. I ended up in domestic violence court, going through divorce. These things are traumatic.
Absolutely.
I had her as somebody to work with me, and then I had her work with my children through that process in order to get to the other side of wholeness. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're all looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel fabulous. That's
Yes.
my goal in life on a daily basis. And if
Yes.
I don't feel fabulous, I'm looking for what technique, what assistance I need. So, unfortunately, Dr. Welsing passed. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I moved here and I could always call her, so that wasn't a problem. But when she passed, I didn't have anyone for a while. And that really came to a head when I got sick. I actually had my appendix almost ruptured. I had to have emergency surgery. But didn't
Mm-hmm.
I tell you about the gut? And didn't I
Mm-hmm.
tell you about
Yes.
the vagus nerve? And
Yes.
didn't I tell you how all of this was connected? I
Yes.
was under stress.
Yes.
I didn't have my person.
Mm-hmm.
I had all the other things I was still doing, but I didn't have anybody to talk to about what I call my stinking thinking. When
Stinking thinking.
when I am not thinking correctly,
Mm-hmm.
when when things are going downhill
Yes.
instead of uphill,
Yes.
that's stinking thinking.
I like it.
And I didn't have somebody for that stinking thinking, and it got to me
Okay.
right in the gut. So
Mm-hmm.
I think of that as a physical, mental, and emotional
Mm-hmm.
reaction that just got clogged up, and it wanted to break free. And luckily, that was a time that you needed to see a physician with that skill to cut.
Mm-hmm.
It was midnight. I was like, I hope he got enough sleep
Yes.
before he cuts on me. because I needed that help right now. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, I made sure, and I still am seeing my psychologist regularly,
Mm-hmm.
um, in order to make sure I am grounded in that connection, to make sure I am not getting into any stinking thinking.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think it's very powerful to hear as we sit here with, you are talking about your mental health and seeing a mental health professional, which is very much ties in our communities. And you're saying that as a medical professional, yes, it's important for me to do this. And even I do this, right? Given all of these tools, imparting all of this wisdom, using all of these various approaches and techniques, and yet there is still a mental health a component of your whole entire package. And so I love that you are absolutely remarkable. Like I loved you for selfish reasons, but I love you even more now. I had no idea that you cross so many avenues. When you say holistic, you mean that. So there are lots of people that say it, but you definitely, it's evident in the work that you're doing. I could keep talking to you because I'm absorbing as much knowledge as everybody else in this moment. But I like to honor people's time. So, two things that I would like for you to do. One, if there's anything that you want to say or share that you haven't done, please do that. And then, following doing that, I put you in a hot seat for an hour. And so I asked all of my guests if there's something that you wanted to ask me, we're in role reversal. You can ask me.
So the only thing I want to do and not say is I wish everyone would sit up with their feet flat, maybe put their hands palms up or palms down on their lap, and just either gently close your eyes or look at the tip of your nose or do something to center your sight. And then just feel your breath. Feel it going in your nostrils and into your lungs and expanding your chest and abdomen, and feeling your chest fall and your stomach fall in. Breathing consciously and knowing that you are loved and lovable and worthy of all the goodness that life has to offer. And just breathing and slowly opening your eyes and bringing that love, light, and powerful healing energy and protection with you into your life.
That was remarkable. I needed that. Thank you. Everybody else did too. You're getting a lot of love here. So, is there anything that you would like to ask me?
I would like to ask you, where, if you had a vision of strength within you, where would that be?
If I had a vision of strength, with okay, so my strength, me,
Yes.
um, I think I'm very optimistic. Like I'd like to empower people to know that they can be better, they can be greater. I used to say that I was an advocate for the underdog, but that's just not truth. Whomever I'm encountering, I want them to know that their life has meaning and value. I'm advocating for your life like it's mine. And, I had this conversation with myself this week because I've been doing a lot of self reflection on, how did I get here? What are some of my still isms that I need to work out? And so I learned that a lot of my passion is rooted from my pain. Um, I am motivated by scars that I did not know existed until I started to do my own therapeutic work. So that's my motivation. Like, I want to be the help that I didn't believe that I got when I was in certain situations in my life. So, yeah, my light is really helping people to see that they're amazing. I don't care what they've done, what they've been through, where they are, and what stage of life. I think everyone has value, and so I want to be able to help people to see their light, essentially. So yeah, that's what kind of motivates me. I feel like hopefully that's what I'm giving out, because that's what I'm trying to give out.
Yes, because we're all worthy of all the good things life has to offer.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Bernal, thank you so much for being here with us, and to everyone watching, from all of us here at Face to Face. I want to thank you for taking time to share this space. For those that are watching, please know, if you are brave enough, everything that you have experienced can be utilized to help you grow. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself to be seasoned, middle aged, or just starting out, or in your youth. It's never too late to take the mask off and to tell your truth. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in June. I don't know what's happening in June. I don't know who's going to be here, because I say this to you all every month. I let the Spirit lead me, and who needs to be here will be here for our June. You all have a good night, and I will see you next month.
Take care. Love you.
Love you too.